So the cat is finally out of the bag, or Wheaties box. Though Marvel only gave everybody until after opening weekend to reveal their big surprise about these guys being the new Avengers, I wanted to give everybody a little bit more time to see the movie. But let's talk about the new Avengers. Welcome back to Geek, where we cover all things Marvel, DC, video games, and everything that comes up in between. We try to have a little bit of everything for everybody. I'm Stella, and today we're going to dive into the history of the new Avengers and how they might tie into the Fantastic Four in the future.
Ladies and gentlemen, meet the new Avengers.
There was a time in the comics where there was no active Avengers team, and this is after Wanda, mourning the loss of her children, tore the Avenger team apart, killing Scott Lang, Hawkeye, and Vision in the process. And whoever was left was dealing with this profound loss, and decided to disband the Avengers entirely. Especially because Tony Stark, the one who was funding the Avengers in the first place, said he would no longer be doing that. But this didn't mean the world didn't need superheroes anymore. After a huge breakout at the Raft, a prison in New York City, the new Avengers were formed. Luke Cage was already in the Raft at the time, since he was there to escort Matt Murdock and Foggy Nelson to a meeting with Sentry. Sentry, who was imprisoned by his own request, mind you. They were joined by Spider-Woman, Spider-Man, Captain America, and Iron Man, which is kind of funny since he wasn't. Only to find out that the entire prison breakout was orchestrated by Skrulls, and Spider-Woman was one of them. While they managed to get everything under control, it wasn't without loss. 42 inmates had escaped in the process, and it was Steve Rogers' idea to form the new Avengers, explaining to Tony that it would be a good idea to simply exist to deal with the tasks that no superhero could do by themselves. So Spider-Man and Luke Cage joined Captain America and Iron Man, while Daredevil declined, not wanting to compromise the team. And while they wanted to extend the invite to Sentry, he was suddenly nowhere to be found. The team was put into contact with the director of S.H.I.E.L.D., Mariah Hill, who was less than enthused by a non-governmental team of Avengers. But Steve Rogers pointed out that he has a full champion license that allows him to assemble a team when he deems necessary. So the new team set out to find who was responsible for the prison break and tracked it back to Electro, adding Wolverine to their team in case lethal action needed to be taken. And when they went to Savage Land, they ended up running into Yelena Belova. And while they continued to gather up these escapees, they also tried to figure out the potential threat of Sentry. Although he agreed to assist the team when he could, his mental state sometimes rendered him incapacitated. And upon request, they ended up making Sentry's watchtower at the top of Stark's tower, kind of forcing Captain America's point that they would end up being a team again anyway. After operating in the shadows for some missions, the new Avengers were officially debuted to the public, being unveiled in a press conference covered by the Daily Bugle, which was ran by J. Jonah Jameson. Jameson shared scathing criticism over the new membership of the Avengers, highlighting repulsive aspects of their lives. Around this period, the Avengers celebrated Luke Cage's wedding to private investigator Jessica Jones. But this ceremony was interrupted by Yelena Belova, who had been transformed by AIM into a super adaptoid, essentially a one-man's Avenger team, kind of like Taskmaster, under Hydra's machination. Because of Hydra. The Avengers assembled to stop the threat, struggling to defeat her. In the end, Belova was sacrificed by her employers upon defeat in order to hide their identity. And then the Avengers were free to continue the wedding party. In the aftermath of the Civil War, which had split the new Avengers amongst the two sides, they found asylum with Doctor Strange in the Sanctum Sanctorum. Under Cage's leadership, the fugitive Spider-Woman, Spider-Man, and Wolverine were joined by Iron Fist, who had supported Captain America during the crisis. Captain America, who was still alive and kept inside the raft. And when the new Avengers tried to rescue him, they found out that it was a trap set up by Iron Man, who had the Avengers attack them with power-dampening technology. But thankfully, Strange was able to teleport them away. But was Sentry ever really a part of the new Avengers? When Norman Osborn got his hand on the official Avengers team, he grabbed a bunch of supervillains for his roster, one of those being the mentally unstable Sentry. This group obviously wasn't well received by the original Avengers, like Clint Barton was super offended by what Osborn had done with the reputation of the Avengers, and publicly denounced it on live TV. But why were the Fantastic Four in the end credits of the entire movie, besides that just being the summer Marvel movie? Well, here's the thing. I know, I'm sorry, I'm gonna stop making that joke, but I just find it funny every time. I'm sorry. But jokes aside, the Thing was a member of the New Avengers from 2010 to 2013. When the New Avengers returned from being under Steve Rogers' supervision, Luke Cage was not comfortable with operating after such a long time hiding from justice. As an alternative, Rogers provided Cage free jurisdiction to assemble his own team of New Avengers to operate on his terms. Moreover, Tony Stark gave them the reformed Avengers Mansion to serve as their headquarters. Rogers' only condition was having Victoria Hand, who was Norman Osborn's former second-in-command, to act as a liaison because he felt she could provide an important insight to the team. With Iron Fist and Jessica Jones at his side, Cage gathered most of his former allies in the team, with the new addition of the Thing from the Fantastic Four. When the Eye of Agamotto happened upon and possessed Cage, it prompted him to be sought out by Doctor Strange and Damon Hellstrom, who had also been corrupted by demonic forces. When Doctor Strange regained control, Iron Fist took the Eye of Agamotto and got banished to another plane after the intervention of Sorcerer Supreme Dr. Voodoo. This unleashed a rupture in reality, causing Earth to be vulnerable to a hellish invasion. The New Avengers realized that the spirit of Agamotto himself had reclaimed the item, and the Avengers challenged Agamotto to a mystic duel, sending a mystically empowered Wolverine as their warrior. Dr. Voodoo intervened and sacrificed his life to ensure the defeat of the power-hungry Agamotto. Reality was protected, and the Avengers returned to the mansion. And Strange ended up joining the team, getting Wong to help around the house there, and Squirrel Girl was hired as Luke Cage and Jessica Jones's babysitter, which is kind of fun. Very Avengers Tower-ish, a little bit, like 2012 fanfiction-y. And this doesn't even begin to cover about how the New Avengers and the Fantastic Four team up together to fight the Skrulls. Now, we know the Fantastic Four are coming to Earth 199 because we were shown it at the end of the Thunderbolts / New Avengers film, but there are a few things that could happen as we march our way to Doomsday. We could still have the New Avengers lineup as we know them because it has already been established, or we could start doing the rotating roster of the New Avengers, where people will hop in and out, but there will be a core number of people that continue to be a part of the New Avengers throughout. Which includes, if we for some reason have a certain thing happen that I will say in a second, the Thing could, if he doesn't happen to have a Fantastic Four team, because we don't know who's in that spaceship, it just has the logo on it, be somebody who swoops in to kind of be a part of the New Avengers. And like I said, I am interested to see which of the Fantastic Four survive, because there is a lot of future Foundation things in the movie promos we've already seen, and if you don't know, in future Foundation, Johnny Storm is dead. And that is the reason why Spider-Man jumps in to fill that last spot, because Johnny has asked him to, and it's because Johnny Storm is dead and not a part of the Fantastic Four. So it is very likely that there could be nobody on the ship. There could only be Franklin on that ship. There could only be a handful of the Fantastic Four on that ship. It could be the maker, we don't know. It just has the logo on it. So it could just be Herbie by himself. We have no idea. But because they used it as like the branding for the Fantastic Four in that universe, I don't know if they will make the future Foundation team happen in anything coming forward. I just don't know. But I do think Ben Grimm would fit really well into our current lineup of New Avengers, so I'm kind of hoping they get to hang out for a little bit. I think it would be fun. But I do know that it does seem like they are replacing the kind of battle worldy thing with the Beyonders with other notable characters that have already existed in our MCU in the 199 universe. So we might see some things where Sentry and Loki and all of these powerful characters kind of become pivotal points that Doctor Doom is trying to get power from, instead of like the Beyonders or Molecule Man, because we don't have them yet. So it's interesting to see how we're forming this Doomsday thing going forward, and I'm really excited to see what the Fantastic Four movie brings. But I hope you like this silly little video that kind of just gives you a little hint at what happened in the comics, which could technically go forward into the Fantastic Four aftermath into Doomsday, because there is so much in the comics that kind of changes the perspective on the New Avengers if you only know the movie. So I hope that helped. What is your dream New Avengers lineup if you had to choose from anybody who is a superhero in the MCU or in the Marvel comics? I would love to talk with you guys about it in the comments down below. And if you like this and want to see more like this, be sure to like and comment and subscribe and hit that bell notification to know when we post more videos. And I will see you guys next time. Stay geeky. Bye!